What do you think of the Secretary of State's decision not to bring a press corps with him on his trip to Asia recently?
I don't understand exactly. He must have some good reason for that. My first cabinet job was Secretary of Labor. And there's a job called press person. And I scratched my head about who to have. And then I decided I'd try to get a guy named Joe Loftus. He was a really good labor reporter, the New York Times. And all of us who were in that field read his stuff. He was a pro. So he'd been doing it for a long time. So I called him. I said, Joe, what about it? So he came over. To my delight, he was interested. He said, well, I'll do it, but I have conditions. I said, what are your conditions? Well, he says, first of all, I have to be able to walk into any meeting anytime. I said, okay, you'll make a contribution, but why? He says, because I can't be blindsided. Once you're blindsided, you've lost. What else? Don't lie. Oh, come on, Joe, I don't lie. He said, you'd be surprised what happens. People get under pressure, and if they don't lie, they mislead. And you can't do that, because the minute you do that, people lose confidence. So there's nothing wrong with saying no comment if you don't want to comment on something. But don't lie. Don't mislead. And then he said, if I see a reporter working on a story, I'll help him get the facts. I said, why are you doing that, Joe? He said, but you don't realize the reporters who cover your department present you to the world. That's the way people know what you're doing and what you're thinking. So maybe they're on your side, maybe they're not, but at least try to help them get the facts straight. But it was a big lesson for me. The press is, they have their opinions, but basically they are the way that your point of view gets across to the American people. So try to make it as factually correct as possible. So Joe was wonderful, and of course all the press respected him. And he taught me a lot of good lessons.
How important as Secretary of State is it to make sure that you get your message across precisely, because diplomatic language is so fraught? It's so potentially one comma and you can cause an international incident. How important is it to have a press corps with you as Secretary of State to make sure you get the message across correctly?
Well, of course, first of all, you have your spokesman. And the spokesman is on the podium practically every day in the State Department. And you want a good person there. I had several who were very good. The last one, who was a Foreign Service officer, and he was excellent because he knew the building and he knew who knew what. And, you know, people are reluctant often, but he knew where to push the buttons and get the information, so he was really very good. So that's an important function.